Hello everybody, welcome to the TraderMerlin Show. It is your Thursday edition. It was a boring-ass day out there in the financial market, so you probably had, I'm hoping you had an exciting day, but odds are I was probably just watching paint dry as most of the stuff just kind of traversed sideways. Anyway, I want a big shout out to all you. We got a pretty big group here, so I'm not going to mention everybody's names. You probably know my guest who's going to be on the program today. We've had him on a few times. He's got his own show out there called the Fron Show, which I would encourage you guys to check out and subscribe to. We're going to talk markets today, and of course, that said, we've got none other than Fron joining us. Don, how you doing?
I am good, man. I'm ready for the markets to move, pick a direction.
Yeah, it's got to be a little bit frustrating for you. Last time we had you in the program, you were still pretty bullish on Tesla. I know you do a Tesla Tuesday type of program. Maybe we can, well, let's start there. And of course, viewers, if you have something you want us to cover, go ahead and bring it up. We'll be happy to talk about just about anything on the program today. Just type it in the chat there. I know we got a lot of Don's friends, followers as well. Hit my subscribe button on the page. Let's talk about Tesla to start. You can use your screen. I can drive, whatever you like. But, you were pretty optimistic on Tesla. It seemed to have just petered out and flatlined. Yes, the ranges are still big, but it's not really rocking either direction anymore.
Right. And what you actually see, I can probably pull up my...
Whatever you like. I can share yours or do mine.
I should make sure I share the right screen. All right. So I got a whole new monitor setup, so I don't know. You guys see which
I got it now. Yeah, I got your trading platform.
I have no idea. I can't even see it on my end. So Tesla, I just bought back in. I was kind of watching. We've been gravitating towards this area right here, this little blue zone. That's what I call like speed bump zones. Just if I'm going to manage things, that's where I expect the hiccup to kind of happen. We might reverse. We might just base out and continue. But we could ignore everything and just look at this $800 mark and this 880, because once we had that run up, we're just hanging out. Now, on that same token, we have to really scroll out. Weekly would just be a rally and base, to which hopefully we're coiling up to push up and go higher. But if we look at the weekly, I just had this trend line as just a basic in general. If we were going to keep that trend alive, there's still plenty of room to the downside to still even make a weekly higher low and just get an even better dip by.
On that chart, since you got it there, I know you obviously are pretty technical. Do you look at this from a flag perspective? I know it's a bit of a stretch, but to go from those lows we saw in November, right around 400, to that peak we saw in January and February, it seems to me on the weekly, you've got yourself a big bullish flag pattern forming here. Is that part of the reason you got your bullishness?
Yeah, nothing's changed. Until the red candles show up and the trend changes, I have to remain bullish. Sometimes even that can be almost to a fault, because like the stock market right now, we get in these little melt up modes, and there's no real momentum to the downside or up. There's more green candles than red, so why would you short it? Even though you kind of have a good idea that a pullback might happen, you have to just eat that one when it does happen, and then they get out. Because if on the same token, the other side of the coin, it might just rally again. You went short or got out for no reason whatsoever.
Let me ask you this one. I know it's kind of obscure, maybe a little bit obscure, but we've seen recently companies like MicroStrategy, who obviously, I wouldn't say they're the pioneer of buying into crypto assets, but they've certainly made it a spectacle for their company buying in to this tune right now. I believe they got 77,000 Bitcoin, which equates to almost $4 billion for these guys in their balance sheets. And the price chart of them has gone absolutely ballistic. Do you think that is part of your bullishness the fact that Elon Musk just pumped in $1.5 billion worth of Bitcoin to their balance sheets, which may incur kind of the same trajectory as MicroStrategy?
1.5 billion. An awkward joke. I have a new camera setup, and someone saw it at a couple $100 on my desk, and they thought I was flexing that. And that's probably about the same amount as Elon buying that 1.5 billion worth of crypto or Bitcoin, I guess. I like it because I did a video on that just the other day, about a month ago, talking about that's going to be the first domino that falls. And I picked, I generically said, it's, wait till Tesla, Apple, Amazon, someone like that decides to follow suit and say, I'm going to buy some Bitcoin. And then I think a lot of others are going to follow, because how many CEOs now are just getting tired of they're basically, whether in the same field or not, just in Elon's shadow. Like he's just always there. So how many of those guys are going to take a second look as to, this guy hasn't been wrong. He's been ambitious. You could say there's always the argument like he says stuff and then it takes like an extra year. But nonetheless, like the only fault he's ever had is he just didn't hit anything on time, but he's still always been very right. And I wonder how many CEOs are going to take a second look at that, follow suit, maybe dabble in it, and each time they put in a little, it's just going to just get stronger and stronger as the following happens.
Yeah, and Big Evan here says, it's only 8% of Tesla's cash. Yeah, they had $19 billion in cash, but, you put in 8% of it. When you look at Google, Apple, Microsoft, Facebook, collectively, they've got around $508 billion. And I think you're right, Don. I think we're at the point now where is this a keep up with the Joneses kind of world? Do we see, Bryn and Tim Cook go, you know what? We'll put 10% into, not necessarily Bitcoin, but cryptocurrency holdings. And if you look at the chart, I'll bring up the chart of MicroStrategy. Here's MSTR, guys. I know Don's got the peaceful dark charts. I've got these bright-ass white charts. Sorry about that. When Don's on, I'll have to go to a dark chart. But you look at the acceleration here. I mean, really in August is when they did this, guys. August in 2020 is where MicroStrategy said they're buying Bitcoin. That's when it was trading at about $100. And now you just broke 1,300 a couple days ago. And it's not like MicroStrategy is just doing amazing sales. It's just, I think a bunch of their assets are sitting in crypto. And, you look at somebody like a Google who's got $100 billion sitting there. Well, this might be a place to park it in. And I was just curious because I look at that Tesla chart and it looks, at least for the better part of the last 2 weeks, it looks rather boring. Yes, it's holding. It's not breaking down below that 800 level, but I think that the Bitcoin edition to me is a shot in the arm, but it's also a real big wild card because if we start to see a sell-off in Bitcoin and companies have too much of this on their balance sheets, it could really all of a sudden screw their charts.
Yeah, I also think like what fundamentally changes because you bought Bitcoin? It brings in the hype. Those buyers that are all about Bitcoin are buying into that stock now. But fundamentally speaking, you took some cash offhand and put it into Bitcoin, which we can bring up that argument has been the best asset class. It's outperformed everything.
Yeah. Yep.
So there's that argument, and then we could talk about the dollar just going down. If we're going to talk about cash on hand, the company by doing that is saving that. So I think the investors are probably fine. But as far as like when Bitcoin tanks or anything like that, the cool thing about that is it's its own currency. So now you can buy a Tesla with Bitcoin.
Right.
So that'll just kind of move together. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Although I know when it takes, they're going to obviously not buy as much.
Yeah, it's interesting because, when you and I, at the core of what we do, are risk managers. That's our job, is to make sure we don't take on undue risk. And most of the risk factor to me is based off of, here's a chart, whether it's Tesla, Facebook, pick any company, and saying, I'm looking at that chart, looking for price patterns, and I'll set my stop losses accordingly and my targets. But now it's interesting because I feel like this could fundamentally shift the way that we analyze the markets, because now, yes, I'm looking at what Tesla's doing or MicroStrategy or Twitter, because Jack Dorsey bought some as well. But now, and Bank of New York, by the way, said they're now going to accept Bitcoins and be a dealer of Bitcoin, which is kind of crazy. Bank of New York Mellon, which was a shock to hear a bank do that. But now all of a sudden I have to take, what's that?
Did MasterCard jump on that? They said they're going to this year?
They said that's the plan is. They haven't officially done it, but again, what it does is ushers in this adoption thing, which I think is pretty damn good. But to me, I'm a little bit nervous. I mean, obviously, we're traders. We're flexible. We'll accommodate. But now all of a sudden, instead of just looking at price charts of what the company's doing, I feel like with a MicroStrategy, I'm not really looking at MicroStrategy's earnings. I'm looking at the chart of Bitcoin. And if Bitcoin's tanking, I'm shorting MicroStrategy. You know what I mean? It's like this no longer just the company, it's their holdings I got to worry about. This changes everything.
But that's an earnings play if you're worried about their holdings.
It's true. But their earnings are changing every day if they're trading Bitcoin, I mean, if you see a 20% drop in Bitcoin, MicroStrategy is going to be one of the best shorts out there. And I guess it's a way for us to have a proxy to short Bitcoin if you want, to not buy actual GBTC and those types of instruments.
Yeah, I think it's something I preach all the time is know who your buyers are and know who your sellers are.
Yep.
And just know, like you said, MicroStrategy. Fundamentally, they didn't just they didn't cure cancer. They didn't change anything. They put their cash on hand in Bitcoin. So now a lot of your buyers are Bitcoin. So while it's one of those, like, how there's a lot of hype between a stock split, nothing actually changes, but all of a sudden everybody loses their minds.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's going to be somewhat, I hate to stutter, that's going to be part of the case now. The companies that are the most in Bitcoin, and Bitcoin's going to sell off because it's volatile, just jumps 10% every day. Those buyers, they might get nervous, they'll sell out. But for any investors, that should probably be more of a dip buy for them. So we'll see if they pick up the dip and if it's just a fumble game, or if this is just going to be some short-term hype. because there's an adoption of Bitcoin and that hype is just surrounding it. Once there's a mass adoption, I think everything will just chill back out.
Yeah, I agree. Just kind of a random question for you. If we look out of that marketplace or the landscape, it seems like people are jumping more on that bandwagon of Bitcoin. Do you have any, if you were to take a guess at who's the next big, like if there is a next major firm out there to say, hey, we're in this space with Bitcoin, who would you think it was going to be?
I literally just said this the other day on my Bitcoin video.
Oh, damn it.
And
I'm copying you?
I said, put it in the comments. Who do you think is the... so do it in this video. All my guys hit the subscribe button and put it again. But I don't know what my answer was. I think it was Amazon or Apple.
Yeah. My guess would be Amazon.
And somebody said it'd be an easy win for the new CEO for Amazon to go ahead and pop in there. And I don't know. I'm 50-50 between Apple or Amazon. At that point, why would you not have Bitcoin?
Right, and I think that's the big piece of it. Yeah, for me, I think it's Amazon because they're just such, they're consumer based on all the different products around the world. Yes, obviously Apple's consumer based as well, but either one of those two. I tell you what, if Amazon or Apple says, hey, we'll accept payments, you're going to see a big pop. But if they start putting their cash balance sheets into crypto or Bitcoin, you'll see another big surge up, but be real careful because, as they say, what goes up must come down. You might see even more increased volatility in Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. And by the way, are you a fan of Dogecoin? Come on.
Get out of here. But before we get, think of the supply and demand aspect. As far as because there's a lot of people right now, and I don't want to hype this or pump everyone into Bitcoin. There's a lot of people that aren't in it. Right, they're still just not sold on this, and we're so in the infancy stage of this that you're looking at this like a traditional pump and dump. But because this is the infancy stage, like the pump and dumps will come after. This could just be everybody buying it, and essentially, I talk about this like with the float, right? If there's 1 million shares, but somebody comes in and buys 900,000 and says you can't pry that out of my cold dead hands. The float is no longer 1 million shares.
Right.
And with companies coming in just buying, Elon's not looking at the chart right now. No. He's not trying to sell some and buy back in cheaper. Like he essentially took that away. So those coins are basically gone. He essentially just shrinking the float. So as more companies pile in and do this, that's the lesson in supply and demand. Some people are going to have to learn because it might just keep going up. It might not be that pump and dump that you're used to seeing on traditional. Penny stocks and low cap stuff that moves like that.
Absolutely. By the way, just for those that want to know, Elon Musk, when he bought it, was right around 38,000. We're dipping 48,000 right now. So he's basically made $10,000 per Bitcoin that he owned. If you want to know how many he owns, just take 1.5 billion divided by 38,000. I can't do the number off the top of my head. And then take that and add a zero to it because he's basically got a massive rate of return in a very, very short period of time on his Bitcoin. So, you might notice he's doing so many. He's almost spending more time now pumping and shilling these shit coins and Bitcoin than he is actually running his company. But hey, you know what? He's making hundreds of millions of dollars off this Bitcoin already. So congratulations, Elon, and thank you because Bitcoin's my largest holding in my crypto portfolio. So I appreciate it.
Yeah. See, Bitcoin. I wish I had just switched gears a little bit sooner. I was a late bloomer to crypto. We're not going to skip Dogecoin, by the way. We're going to get into that.
Yeah, okay.
But it's just going to bug me as if this thing just runs to 1 million right now. Yeah. Like I just don't have enough. And because what I've been trying to tell everybody is, even if you hate it, just get some exposure to it. Put your gas money in there. Something you're not going to lose, just dollar cost average. I'm not actually trading Bitcoin. I'm just buying it. Yeah. And just every week buying a little bit more.
These are mine right here. Oh, you can't see my video, but for the viewers, mine are cold storage, and I like Don said perfectly. You have the majority of us. If you buy your Microsoft shares, you're looking to get out if it jumps 10, 15%, and you get out typically. With Bitcoin, I'm not selling my Bitcoin. I mean, it's going to have to go up significantly higher. 100,000 was my target for end of 2023, and I think we'll probably eclipse that. But even there, I probably won't sell. Now, some of the other ones I might be more active. But bottom line is most of this crypto stuff, I believe in the prospects of it and what it might mean for our world, for consumerism, for capitalism going forward. And I think that this is just the start. So, yeah, I've removed mine from supply, right? My Bitcoin, they're not going to be for sale for a long time. So when you have more people coming in chasing fewer assets, we know supply and demand equation means prices are going up.
Yeah, don't lose your password.
No, 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 definitely not. That's why I actually like these little Nano Ledger S's. They're pretty nice, but there's a bunch of other different ones. All right, I did a show on Dogecoin the other day trying to dispel a lot of the misconceptions out there. I'd like to get your take on it since I haven't seen your crypto show.
It's probably going to go to $1 at this point because so far there's no institutional buyers. There's no one who actually cares about this thing. The only people that are in this are the Wall Street bets people, the people that follow Elon on Twitter, and they're creating their own red candles. People trying to sell this. Everybody in this. First of all, it was created as a joke to see, look how easy it is to create a cryptocurrency and watch these people will buy it.
Yep.
It did just that. It took a tweet. Now everybody's piling in there. Everybody thinks it's going to go to $1. There's no hedge fund standing in the way of that. So they're actually just going to run this up themselves. They had to just, as long as there's more buying than Dogecoin is being created a day, this will just run itself up. The only thing stopping us from hitting $1 this week is just the fact that more is being created.
Yeah. I'm going to bring up the 6 month here, and I'll share the screen with you guys so you can see Dogecoin. I don't believe you're going to see it get to $1. I just think that's, I mean, it's at 7-8 cents, and yeah, it's the retailer, but when you look at the application for it, this is just the classic pump and dump. There's many other that could that are way better from a societal perspective, meaning transactions, meaning store of value, etc., that run circles around Dogecoin. So this is just the fun pump and dump one for the time being. I really don't see it getting to $1, but hey, I could be totally wrong.
In no way do I actually believe that, by the way. So just so it doesn't get taken out of context, I think it's hilarious that people are buying this and trying to trade it.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I've gotten a lot of people over the past, especially the last, I would say 3 weeks because of what happened with GameStop. I was joking with my audience that I've been trading for 20 plus years. I have blood, sweat, and tears in the markets. I like to think I know what I'm doing. I'm still learning, as we all are until the day we die. But I've got some, 12-year-old jackass who lives in his parents' basement that now has 800,000 followers because he bought GameStop on a Reddit Wall Street Bets room. And I'm like, everyone's following this guy. I'm like, you realize he just got lucky. He basically was the right place, right time. He'll probably lose every single penny of that going forward because he has no clue what they're doing. But hey, you know what? He's got 800,000 followers, and I'm teetering on 3,000. So yeah, good job, society.
Yeah, just tell him to replicate that.
Yeah,
That's all. Like that's what I told. There's a bunch of people that just came in, and naturally it's fine because they're brand new to the market, so they just followed the breadcrumbs. They found their ways to the algorithms, the ones that got posted. But to the guys that just were the product of the algorithm, like I just want to say to the new guys, just wait till they replicate that. Follow them on their third trade.
Yeah.
Watch what happens on the second one.
Yeah, and you know what's funny because I think a lot of these GameStop kids who bought in at $400, they got real quiet. Got real quiet out there. All right. Actually, Richard says it's a shame that Dogecoin is undermining the crypto world. I wouldn't look at it that way. I love that it's bringing in all the attention and more attention to the crypto world. And actually, if you watch Elon Musk's kind of interviews and talks about it, I think Elon Musk is right. I think we are going to a digital world. And he's just saying, why not Dogecoin? I just don't think he's taking the time to look at all of them and see that there's way better alternatives. It brings in attention, which I do like. It's just my fear is that there's so many people starting off that this is their first exposure, and they're hooked on that drug that they got 100% rate of return in a week, right? And thinking that that's sustainable. It's not. You're not going to make 100% in a week. I mean, that's just ridiculous. I've got a few in my portfolio that are up well over 100% this week. I don't care. I know that's not sustainable. They're going to give me back. A lot of those profits are going to be given back. So I'm just worried for the new guys coming in.
I have a friend. I haven't heard from him in a while. But even I was like, hey, it's time to get out of GameStop. Wasn't having it. He wasn't hearing it. And I haven't heard from him, so I worry he's still in it.
Yeah.
But he was in it 6 figures, so he's 6 figures in profit. And I just know he thinks it's going to 1,000. And then the red candle showed up, and which really.
I mean,
sucks.
what do you say to that guy? I mean, okay, you got people that are saying it's going to go to 1,000 because Elon Musk tweeted out that if it goes to 1,000, he'll put it on his next spaceship and launch it into space. Like, who cares, guys? He's just effing with you. What do you say to someone who's got $100,000 profit on a trade and something that's an absolute short squeeze and most likely to come crashing back down? How do you get to them?
Well, first of all, Elon tweeted Dogecoin, but Tesla bought Bitcoin.
Right, exactly.
So there's that. And then second, you can't tell those guys anything. I tried to tell him all day long, and he wasn't having it because these new guys come in and they see ridiculous gains. And then, of course, what do I know? Like, I made 20% that day, which is a screaming day. Like, that's
absolutely
a decent day. But no, he blew my gains out of the water. The difference is I kept mine.
Yeah.
And now maybe he sold his and he's just on his own island right now. Just not likely because we know how new traders do things.
Yeah.
But you kind of have to. I'm trying to be there as much as I can for these guys because I've seen a wave of them come in, and I feel bad because it's their first time, and I'm trying to just like break them off that, like, hey, let's turn those games, let's turn this into an actual income, not this.
And I'm happy about that too. I've had a couple friends that have reached out to me because their community, their circle of friends at work or something, like, oh, you got to buy GameStop, you got to buy, Dogecoin or whatever it is. And they had a couple of men text me and called me and said, hey, what do you think? I know you're in the industry. I'm like, no, don't do it. Actually, my actual response was when he said, should I buy GameStop? I said, you're freaking crazy. But I didn't use freaking, I used the other one. And he's like, that's the answer I needed. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, for the comment from your viewer out here, Follow Shadow says, you're not going to make 100% a week. Don's like, you're not? You can. I'm not saying you're not. You're not going to make 100 every week, right? So someone who comes in there and makes 100% a week, now they're like, oh my God, these are financial markets? This is what trading is like? God, I should do this every week. Hey man, all of you will have 100% week. And you just look at that and go, wow, I got lucky. Because if the average annual return for the S&P 500 is 8% and you made 100 in a week, clearly that's an outlier if you do any statistical modeling. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's joking now because I've had some, well, obviously not now with the market going sideways, but I've had some rocking weeks.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's, we all do. And it's, part of it is when you do have those rocking weeks, you got to be a little bit humble out there. It's nice to go and gloat and talk to people, but I'm a firm believer that if you start talking and bragging, the market hears you and will kick your ass. I mean, the market will be like, oh, I'm sorry, were you bragging about that trade you made 100% on? Well, you know what? Here's a 50% loss. Here's a 60% loss, and just beats you into submission. So shut up about it.
Wait 1 second. Yeah. Which funny, someone else brought this up. I had the video about this a while back. It's an older video, but I was talking about because Tesla's on a massive run. And I told her, like, it's important to recognize a win streak. Ride the wave, enjoy it while it's there. Don't even be upset. Like, you're killing it. Even the people that made money on GameStop, you did great. But just recognize the win streak. Recognize it's an outlier. And don't go seeking it. Because, this is how people go from stocks. They'll catch one crazy one good one, like a Tesla. Next thing you know, they're in penny stocks because they see the percentage growth. Or they try options. And now they're just jumping asset classes all around, searching for something that they're just, ultimately they're going to take just a beat down, loss after loss, trying to replicate something that was an outlier like Tesla just run into the moon.
It's challenging. To me, it's almost like the industry gaming all these new people, because my mentor early on said that the markets have a way of baiting you in, and what it'll do is give you wins right as you're starting out. So let's say for some of you who are watching this right now, you might be in your first few months of trading. He's like, the market has a way during your first few months of making it seem like it's easy. So you go in there with all these defenses because people like Don, like myself, are going to be going, look, have your guard up. Make sure you use your stop losses. Hold the line. Make sure that you don't break these rules. And, all of a sudden the market's handing you just like free money, like GameStop. I mean, that was free money for these guys. At a certain point, you got to go, I'm not going to put my guard down. I always have to have it up, and I always have to have money management in place. And, I look at I actually started going to the Wall Street Bets chat room, and I still see memes of people saying, hold the line on GME. And you're like, you're an idiot,
Yeah, I still have yet to get in there, but
it's actually pretty entertaining, I actually don't mind. I think it's fun, but you got to know that these guys, like any chat room, I was told early on from my mentor too, is that stay out of Yahoo chat rooms, because for the most part, it's people just pumping their own agenda. I'm okay with chat rooms or groups as long as everyone's on the same page and you weed out those people who are just pumping and dumping. Get them out, but keep a close core group that all have the same basic fundamental rules and approach. And then I think you got something. That's a winning recipe right there.
Yeah, that's what actually I'm trying to build. Something different from all the rest. Just the normal, just BS. Something like, have you ever played games online? Just go play Xbox online, just see the chat you'll hear. It's just trash. Like just
I don't want my Ronald Jenkies. For those that don't know what I'm talking about, go on YouTube. I think you can YouTube Ronald Jenkies. Oh my God, that's one of the best ever. All right, let's go do some analysis here. I want to look at Facebook because I know that was one that you and I had talked about in the past. It's interesting because if you go back to the show that Don was on originally, Facebook, for all intents and purposes, has gone pretty much sideways. It's up slightly from that gap, but you might remember it. That was this this big gap up that it had on earnings back on July 31st. I think that might have been actually your first time on the show, if I'm not mistaken.
It just ripped up.
But yeah, you were bullish at that point. I was bearish at that point. You won that argument for sure. Where do you see that today? Hey, one thing I've learned, Don, I don't care to admit that I'm wrong. No big deal for there. What are your thoughts on Facebook at this point? Because really, for 6 months, it's done nothing.
Yeah, you got it right there. I mean, I can even share my screen. You're looking right at it. It's let me see if I can bring mine back up. Just dead sideways.
Yeah.
Now I actually got in today. I've been trying to play. If you're new, ignore all of these. Like, you can just ignore most of this chart right here. This is more intraday stuff. You can see we're kind of going horizontal inside here, but we'll break out, and then that's management in itself. But this 245, 250 area to the 290, like 250 would just be a solid buy. I would have probably a very large position if it hit that right now. And then when we get up here, I'm probably not adding on just yet. I'm going to keep my stop right below and see if we do get the breakout. Still bullish overall. I mean, like, what is Facebook? It's an algorithm that's designed to be addictive.
Yeah.
They make money on ads, so they help the small companies. Like, how does this company ever fail?
Yeah, it's a legal drug dealer, man.
Yeah. So, and they got money pouring in.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. As far as I don't like to. I don't care about earnings, or like, I like to be in the know of the companies I'm in.
Right.
But I'm not going to project earnings per share and what I think it's going to be. And I'm going to ride the trend that's there, and which right now is sideways. But I still think Facebook's got a lot of growing with the Oculus, and now they're talking about virtual reality, that being the next big wave, which I'm on board with. I think that's going to be a huge. I don't know what brought this on. I had this conversation the other day, but it was virtual reality and screens, the folding screens on phones. It's still small. Now that we can fold them, there's no crease in there.
Yeah,
incredible. I think there'll be a big adoption. I think that's going to be the new way, because those will replace. I mean, like, we have tablets, but those are big. But wait till we can get a phone that does everything with two screens, so we can manage and multitask. Like, I think that'll be the next wave that comes, and then just Oculus, which Facebook owns Oculus, so if they start making a big push, hopefully that's their next catalyst to run this thing up.
Yeah, just for the viewers, I actually just got to try an Oculus for my first time, actually yesterday or day before yesterday. Carter, one of my coworkers, brought it in. Wow, I mean, yeah. It's a far cry better than what I saw years ago. I was really impressed with the Oculus Quest. That's the cordless one. Pretty phenomenal. Do you have one?
Yeah, I bought a couple of them. Yeah.
Oh, good. We could do that, because I'm going to buy one probably next week or two, so you can give me your recommendations.
Yeah, there's the home screen. You're in just some
like a warehouse. Area.
Oh, I'm in one that I could live in. Like, I see hot air balloons. I got just a lounge. I got a bar. Like, I almost want to just put it on just to sit there for a little bit and just pretend I'm not trading for a little bit, just kind of hang out. I would move there if that was a real island right now.
Yeah, it's pretty freaking cool.
Yeah, you gotta check that one out.
All right. On that Facebook chart that you got up there, I like you. I do like that 240, 245 mark. Does that gap just below it that goes all the way back into July of last year, does that concern you at all? Because it seems like we've done a single tap, a double tap at 245. We get down there again. I like the long side, but boy, that gap close just all of a sudden screams at me.
Oh, you're talking about the gap filled with this? Come on. You
don't think so?
No. No.
Okay, cool.
I think things have changed. I don't really chase after the gap fills, and I don't know why. I think it was because when I first started trading, someone mentioned this to me. I said, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. Like, because it was so bullish, people are going to just all of a sudden trade. Like, the company's going to change because there was a gap there, because your brain just can't fill in the space. Like, I don't know why. I've just never been a gap fill guy, but I understand the meaning behind it, right? There was no sellers, so there's obviously a bullish catalyst that dropped up here. I get the support and resistance aspect behind it. I would manage risk, but at the same time, what has changed? What has Facebook done to build the company? What new investors does it have versus back here?
Right.
I would look at it again, but I'm not going to ride it all the way down there. My stop's going to be just below. I mean, after a horizontal pattern like this, what are you doing still holding it if it breaks that 243 area?
Yeah. Yeah, no,
So,
I asked because I think I'm in the same boat as you. I would be I actually, well, I got two questions for you, but I love the 140 or 245 mark on it. But you're right. If we get below that, you got to have a number line in place, and you say, I'm going to get, I'll exit this position because it could very easily drop back down all the way down to that previous spot right around 232. Yeah.
but I wouldn't even worry about that.
No?
I think if it breaks this, I don't think a gap fill is something you guys should be worried about. Like at that point, what has just changed to bring that momentum to the downside? True. You might set your sights. Now we know there's plenty of buyers right here because we sold off, we gapped down, and that was just a laughing stock. Got bought right back up. Everyone couldn't wait to buy it right there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's probably where I'd be more interested. This 210 mark, 210 to 13, 14 area.
Let me ask you a question on with regards to instruments that you trade. If you're buying this Facebook and you like it at 245, why don't you sell, or are you, selling puts at that 245 mark? I think right now you can get probably close to $2.80 per put option at 245. Is that something that you do, or are you just flat buying the underlier?
I've actually never even thought about that. I do that with Apple all the time. I just haven't done it with Facebook yet. But that's actually a good idea.
I'm looking at it right now. It just made me think because I'm looking at it going, I'd actually be pretty happy buy our 245 as well. And right now I'm looking at 271 bid, 298 ask on and that's for 30 days. That's for your the March 21st contract, so 35 days out. But collecting almost $3 worth of premium doesn't seem like too bad of a deal.
No, I'll probably take that position tomorrow. Actually, hopefully it sells off so it can run that premium up a little bit and I can collect it. But no, I mean, if that got exercised, I wouldn't even care.
No.
At that point, I would have to manage the position if it got crazy. But
yeah. Right. Yep.
Yeah.
Real quick, Jerry says, just out of curiosity, how does Don come up with those zones? You like to do a bunch of artwork. I keep my charts very clean. You've got the lines on there. You want to give a quick overview of those?
This is my alert to buy more. That's one of the lines. A lot of these I break stuff. I try to accommodate for all the time frames for everybody that I'm talking to and helping out. But I look for areas of attention. So it's not strictly supply and demand or support and resistance. I see where that game of tug of war is being played by the buyers and sellers, and I try to get in off the radar. Like that's where it's at. We get into the zone. That's the area of attention where everyone wants to go short, everyone wants to go long. And then we can start looking at the back history. What's it look like? Are we pretty bullish, or is it selling off just fine? How do I think we're going to exit this zone? And then that's how I take the position. But as far as looking for these, daily probably isn't. It'll make more sense when we get to the 4 hour and add in the extra candles. So we drop. Now we did base out, but you can see we came up here, we came back down. But that's where that game of tug of war was being played. Eventually the buyers won and took the losers, drug them through the mud. And then that's how I'll manage it. These yellow zones are drawn on the 4 hour. That's the higher time frame that I like. And then in between, I assume we're going zone to zone. But you see these little blue ones. Those are the speed bump zones, hiccup. That's done in the hourly because I manage it. It's not a set and forget. It's a set and manage. And so I'm managing on the hourly time frame. But let's say if we're selling it, we're shorting this, we're going to go zone to zone. I expect the green candle to show up right there. Like that's where I'm going to run into some trouble. Time to tighten up stops. Watch that position, see if we get the continuation or if it's time to put the stop in the green.
Nice. Well, it's a purpose to it. I actually love Alex. One of my guys says, yellow and blue makes green. That's pretty good.
These purple. These used to be purple until someone said that.
Oh.
And so now they changed to blue just for that exact reason.
Oh, I'm kind of colorblind anyway. I've got a question that came in from one of my viewers. Gary asked, can you ask Don what his thoughts are on marijuana stocks? Do you have a favorite? And I see another one from Fly a Lot Slower in the chat says MJ Long from 23. Let's talk about weed for a little bit because today was an exciting day for weed. It was basically crashing.
There's something about Etheria, something like that, is buying Tilray. Whatever caused this massive pump up, and then today it just sold off. We kind of based out and went sideways here. Mm-hmm. I think what caused this, I just want to look at Tilray real quick. Tilray just hit one of the green zones right here.
Yeah.
So if I'm watching zones like this and you see that momentum, there's not a magic line, yellow box in the way that's probably going to stop that. So I'll let the momentum settle out and die down before I decide to catch any knives.
That's a 4 hour chart, by the way, folks. If you're looking at this, is a 4 hour time frame. So in 4 hours, that thing had just a colossal drop.
Yeah, I mean, this thing tucked its knees and yelled out cannonball. But it looks like we're finally hitting. Well, either we ran the clock out, or we might find some buyers out here looking for the dip. I don't know. I don't even know what this is all even about. I actually hate weed stocks because of how many messages I got on Facebook about it. Was hey, I'm thinking about getting the stock market. I heard you know what you're talking about. I'm like, yeah, what's up? I'm thinking about investing in some weed stocks. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you're about a year too late because they're just getting it all right here, just riding this thing down the whole time. Like, these are just trash. But, you know, now we got the legalization talks again. I think the hype's getting back in. Hopefully this takes place of something like Bitcoin. When I talk about buyers and sellers, think of how many people lost money on Tilray because they thought it was cool to buy. I know somebody that bought way up here. And I got in Tilray one time right here. I made the fastest money. It was within 5 minutes. I bought it. It was up so much. Put the stop in the green. It tagged out. I told my buddy. He said, oh, no, I'm buying more.
Oh, boy.
I said, you're kidding. And he wrote it most of the way down. But I'm curious how many of these guys are trying to get their money back now. So we'll have the new investors talking about legalization. They like the fundamental side of it. And then we have everybody with the gambling. I got to get my money back. Hopefully they pour back in, which looks like probably what happened right here. I don't know if there's any catalyst behind this. I'm not up on the news side of things, but
well, I think a lot of it is you have the Reddit guys again are talking about pumping wheat stocks, and it's like, okay, great, you jacked it up. And of course, every time you guys have a pump from a Reddit group or any group really, when you have a pump, there will almost always be a dump. You're going to see it sell off. And, you know, we talked about it on yesterday's show here. Someone was asking me about, I think it was like, who, what, where, why, when would I buy into MJ? This individual wanted to buy MJ. And I think you have the same lines I did. Bring up MJ on yours. I'm curious if you have the lines on. Do you have MJ?
Yeah, I just put up. I'll grab it. Well, I want to know what the news with this is about. This is the company that's acquiring Tilray or something like that. So that might be in the spotlight, but again, maybe it's just the.
But it's
Redditors.
Perfect. I mean, it comes right down to that demand zone, and we were looking. My lines are almost exactly the same as yours. I mean, really, that right around the 24. And we were talking on yesterday's show about selling puts and saying, you know what, if you want to buy it, to me, 24 is the most logical place to buy back into MJ. And yesterday, for those who are paying attention to the show, you could have gotten a $1.70 premium if you were going to sell the 24s. If you sold the 24, say you're getting $2.90. So you have a significant increase in the premium, but of course 24 is right there knocking on the door. So yeah, I love Don's lines because I'm looking at this, the MJ, I'm looking at APHA, I'm looking at Tilray. You have all the spots are pretty much the same. It's like you're either at demand or really close to it from a buy perspective.
Well, I don't like to chart out ETFs as much as I do like this because of the underlying, who knows what had just a rocking day here, but the other one tanked and what caused this back and forth. So I do like to, like when I'm charting out the Qs, I'll still kind of chart those out. I watch the futures for that. But I still understand, the top three are Apple, Amazon, and Microsoft. So I would want to know, this got brought up today, if we can break this one down regularly. I do want to see what the top holdings in MJ are, so we know who's carrying the most weight inside there.
Yeah.
Because it looks like these guys are just leading the way.
Yeah.
Wherever it is. And then, yeah, that came right back down to it. So if we just look at this chart and demand zone right here, this one makes perfect sense. But if you didn't know this was an ETF, you'd think it might have a little ways to go. But maybe something else had a good day holding this up. So when we see that demand from APHA like this or Tilray, this thing might actually turn around and cause MJ to get that what you're going to think is a higher low on that chart.
I was just looked at the clock over here and I was like, uh-oh, guys, I realized I told Don you'd have him on for half hour. We're already at 40 minutes. So let me wrap up here with you, Don. I'm going to direct people to this page here for those of you who want to know more about Don and what he does. You can go to the donfronshow.com. There's all kinds of information about his services, his analysis. Of course, he's got a YouTube channel as well called the Don Fron Show. I would encourage you to check that one out. Anything else you want to talk about before we wrap it up here?
If you're new and GameStop is your first position, stop. just let's take it seriously. Let's bump the brakes.
Yeah.
Until the market crashes, it's another green or sideways day. It doesn't make sense to jump in short. I get the markets are slowing down. I get we might see a pullback, but I'd be careful with the bearish positions because the market as a whole might just be coiling up for another move up. If you jump in short and you let the fear mongering get you, you might catch a loss you didn't need to take.
100% agree. Guess one of my buddies said, if you were to relate GameStop to a drug, what would it be? And he says, I think it would be like marijuana. I go, no, it's basically like freebasing crystal meth with a little bit of bath salts on top. Good luck with that one. Say hello to the ER.
Yeah, heroin and cocaine at the same time with a Xanax.
All right, Don. Well, hey, man, thanks so much for coming on. I appreciate you taking it on short notice. I know we're supposed to do Friday, but I'm on an airplane tomorrow, so thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. And by the way, thanks to all of Don's audience out there. Love having you guys with us today. Again, click the subscribe button. If you like today's show, give me a thumbs up as well. All right, Don, I'm going to let you go. I know you got stuff to do, so thank you so much for joining me, my friend. Appreciate it.
Thank you. I'll see you later.
All right, take care. My part's done with Don, but I still have some more to talk about here. I'm going to try to keep it under an hour, so I got 17 minutes to get to some listener questions. Again, if you love it, go to Don Fron or donfronshow.com to get some more information from that one. Now, I'm going to go to a few listener questions that I had just to make sure we can wrap some of these ones up. Alan, who I believe is with us today, Alan asked me yesterday about prop firms and actually really asked me more about how can I get involved with, improve my trading and investing. I really want to make it my full-time thing, but I'm not quite comfortable there. I want to get better and better and better. What should I do? Thought about being a technical analyst and things like that. And he said, what about prop firms? And you sent me some great information. I'm not going to bring all the numbers up here, but the statistics most likely, I don't know because I'm not in the industry, but my guess is that most people who are working for prop shops fail. And the reason being, most of them are pushing you to be more active short-term traders because they make money off of commissions. That's usually the model. For me, I don't think a prop shop is the way to go. I think what you would want to do, instead of you going to a prop shop, is you would learn a little bit about the markets, come up with a trading plan or strategy for yourself, whatever that trading strategy may be, and then work at refining it, getting it better, getting it better, getting it better. To me, that's how you would want to do it, not a prop shop. I think that's a sucker bet, and you'll probably end up losing more money than you would if you just did on your own. I don't have a love for prop shops or proprietary trading and things like that. I think it's a self-interested entity that's just trying to make themselves money off of your money, and usually they're just bleeding your accounts into theirs. So that's my main thing there. All right. I wish I was at the Denver airport. I went direct flight this time, Larry. Let's see. Here's an interesting question, and this is a very difficult one for me to answer because there's so many variables here, but I love the fact that Leonard sent this one in. Leonard says, I've got $125K to invest, I'm 67 years old, and I truncated it down because it was a longer message. He says, question, should I be looking still into trading stocks or something else? I watch the market every morning. Leonard, it sounds to me like you, from your email, it sounds to me like you really enjoy the markets and you have a passion for it. At 67 years old, the general consensus is you should be much more conservative with your money because you're getting near your golden years, right? You want to make sure that money lasts. So should you be looking at stocks? The question is, should you even look at stocks, period? Should you be in bonds or annuities or something to generate income? For me personally, the answer I would give you is this. If all you have is $125,000 and you're just about to retire, that's probably not enough, right? You're going to probably need to have some more assets. How do we go about that? Do we do certain things to generate more income streams, or are we going to be looking to grow our capital? Meaning taking that $125,000 and maybe I take 75 of it, put it in a fairly conservative portfolio that's going to be protected money and slowly grow over time. Maybe take that another 25,000 of it, and I put that in maybe something a little riskier, maybe commodities, and maybe I do other asset classes as well. The question for me is, what are you trying to achieve, right? You've got $125,000 to invest, but what do you want to do with it, right? Is that, are you trying to save it? Do you want to grow this exponentially? What are your goals and objectives? So I'll tell you this, if all I had at 67 years old was $125,000, I'm just throwing a hypothetical at me to tell you what I would do, I would look at other asset classes. Because $125,000 is probably not going to last me very long. So what I need to do is I need to, number one, determine exactly what my consumption is. How much money am I paying for my rent, my utilities, mortgage, whatever the case may be, my living expenses per month. And then my goal is going to be to make that $125,000, give me that nut, give me that amount every month. And I may need to go into some riskier assets in order to do that. Because $125,000, you put it in a savings account somewhere or a CD and you get 1% to 2%, that's probably not going to cover the bill. It's making $1,000 a month, probably not going to cover it. So we have to start to look at what instruments are going to help you out, maybe get better results. Maybe not necessarily better results, but increased rates of return, which of course means increased rates of risk. I personally think you should be looking at other asset classes just from the fun of it. I think that there's a synergy between stocks, futures, forex. I would certainly put options on there. I am not the expert in options. I believe my options experience is substantial, but I don't do all the crazy strategies. I keep things very simple. I get a little frustrated early on learning all the different option strategies. So I keep it very, very simple, but I'm collecting premium. So if you're doing a fairly conservative approach, you could be using options and selling puts, collecting premium, and getting a simple rate of return per month. You could step it up a notch, go to some spread trading, increase that rate of return, and maybe you're making 3 or 4% per month. These are things that you could be doing, but again, increased reward generally equates to inverse risk out there. So Leonard, I don't know if I really answered that one. I do think that you should go out and look at other instruments, look at other markets. I definitely would incorporate options into your world. I think it was it Big Eb was saying they did some covered calls on his MJ position. Great. This is a simple thing that you can do where today there was a pretty substantial drop in the price of MJ. If you just held that in your portfolio, that's a loss. But by using covered calls, you now have collected some premium. You're offsetting some of that loss. And every month you could be selling more covered calls till it gets back up to your original price, and you probably make even more money. So all of these different tools help us, increase our rate of return. But bottom line, Leonard, is what's your goal? What's your objective out there? All right, how many minutes I got left? 11 minutes? Let's see. Oh, actually, I'll read this one, and then there was 2 that came in. So Jamini says, I think we all know that there's a serious correction in the world market soon. Would you open an account with a firm like Charles Schwab or JP Morgan as opposed to M1 Finance or Webull? Would they be a better choice when the markets become cheaper? Kind of like saying you want to buy a car. Each one of these platforms offers different levels of service, different levels of connectivity to the exchanges, different asset classes. So I don't know. I checked out Webull. Webull has a ton of different features. They are going to be zero commissions, which means they're most likely selling your order flow to somebody else. So that's always a handicap there. But I don't think it is that critical that you say, well, I have to go with a Webull or I have to go with a Charles Schwab because the markets are going to crash, right? Go to those brokerage firms and see if they have the tools that you want. Do they allow you to do conditional orders? Do they allow you to do bracket orders and OCOs? I saw that Webull did. Charles Schwab does as well, where you can do conditional orders and brackets. Those types of things can be very beneficial. As Larry says here, Robinhood. No, I probably wouldn't use Robinhood, okay? They're basically the bare bones. They're the Toyota Corolla of the car industry. While it's a nice car and it will get you from point A to point B, you're missing a lot of the features that you might want in a vehicle. For those of you who drive Toyota Corollas, I apologize. So to me, that's the more important consideration, or what are the features and functionalities. I want direct access for most of my accounts because I'm fairly active out there. So I'm going to be not just going to TD Ameritrade and using their web platform, because that most likely will be routed through brokerage firms and sale of order flow. I'm going to go do something like Thinkorswim, which might be giving me more direct access level 2. If I'm very active, I might use a platform like TradeStation or something that I'm going directly through. Larry says, go with whom you're comfortable with the platform. I use 5. And not only that, also, one of the big tests for me is customer service. If you just randomly call up the customer service, even if you don't have an account, just call up their customer service line and be like, yeah, I have a problem with my trades. And then if they're friendly, if they're nice, if it's quick, great. Some firms will be slow, cumbersome, and annoying. You want to obviously cut those ones short very, very quickly. All right, there was some questions that came through here. When you sell MJ, Alan says, when you sell MJ put at a certain premium and it sells off, even if you like it at 24, would you lose out on the change and extrinsic value as the thing sells off? You probably will, but you initially when you made that trade, you're collecting that premium and you're saying, I'm going to gain all that premium, and if it gets down to this price, I'll buy it. For me, that's the only consideration I look at, because what I basically say is if I'm selling the put, and whatever yesterday was at 20, 30, 40 bucks, if I'm selling that put, and it's at 24, and I'm going to collect $1.70, I ask myself, am I happy buying in at 22.30, which would be the 24 minus my $1.70 premium collected. If you sold that 24 put today, the number that I wrote down was 290. So all of a sudden, I'm looking at buying at 21.10. Is that better for me from a stop loss perspective? Because I'm going to use stop losses on the underlier. So that's how I analyze it, Alan. I don't look too deeply into intrinsic value. I just look at where do I want to get it, where do I want to own it at, and then I sell the previous. All right, what else do I got? There was some questions that came through. I'm going to Boston, Larry. Heading off to Boston. Let's see. There were some questions that came in earlier. Fly a lot slower says long MJ from 72 or 32. Yes, or 23. I do like that one. There was one from way back here, which I'm trying to find it. Thomasina. How easy or difficult would it be to buy or sell a house for Bitcoin only? That's an interesting question. I don't know all the intricate details of it. Obviously, there has to be money in accounts set up that way. But for me, it's really about having an address and sending the Bitcoin over. And once the Bitcoin lands at that address, then you've made a trade. It's literally cash sent over. What's funny is you try sending, $400,000 through your brokerage firm or through your bank. Pain in the butt, could take a while, right? Could take several days for all this stuff to clear. If you've got Bitcoin, and by the way, I will say this right now. If somebody would like to buy my home in Southern California, I am more than happy to do it for Bitcoin. If you want to buy my house, I would gladly do it right now, but you got to cough up about 1.6. Give me 1.6 million in Bitcoin. We'll agree on the actual price and how many Bitcoin there is. I'm happy to do it, but it has to be the seller of the home has to be okay with that, right? Because there may be, in this example, when I'm doing that much of a transaction, Bitcoin's moving. It's moving significantly, and that could create an impact on your net sales. I read a story years ago. Somebody here in Newport Beach actually did allow for the buyer of his home to pay in Bitcoin. And it was something like $1.2 million worth of Bitcoin. And this is when Bitcoin was at like $1,000. So this guy now has 40x gain on his home if he kept it. I think it would be challenging to sell a home for Bitcoin simply because it's not just you and me. I mean, if we're going to do a deal mano a mano, I'm fine with that. But there's a lot of legal stuff and papers and signing and to me it gets a little more complicated. No, my dad has not done a transaction. You know how I know? I've never asked him this, but I can guarantee you that he hasn't, because he would have asked me immediately, like, what's Bitcoin? I've tried to talk to my pops about Bitcoin. No, he knows what Bitcoin is, but I'm sure he would ask me more about Bitcoin. So I'll ask him, but I'm 99.9% sure that he has not. But I would love to. I'd love to sell my house for Bitcoin. Why not? No, I did not get into DD today. I saw that. I'll bring up the chart. We were looking at DD as a potential short. It's still sitting in the zone. I think I still have the lines. Oh, there it is. This is the chart we looked at yesterday on DuPont. I mean, I didn't move those lines. It's still sitting exactly at the top of that box we drew yesterday. Of course, the box isn't drawn perfectly. I would definitely agree that one's not drawn right, but it was a ballpark. No, didn't get into DD. I've just been too busy. I got so many things going on. My house on the historical list. No way, man. I live in a not cheesy. I live in a standard neighborhood here in Southern California. No big deal. Alan, yeah, bring it. If you want to, but I don't want 1.6 in cash. I want 1.6 million in Bitcoin. That's not $1,600. There you go. All right, I think maybe that will do it. What time we got? 4 minutes. Do I have one more question in me? Because as you guys know, I'm not going to be here tomorrow. Oh, yes, I got one more for you. Good one, too, from Michael, who I believe might actually be in here today. Michael says, how can I set an alert on an indicator? I like to use RSI and want to know when the indicator goes below 30. I am unable to get an alert, so is that any way that I have to alert an indicator? It really depends on... No, Alan, you can't pay me in gum. It really depends on what platform you're using, Michael. I'll show you two different platforms here. One that's free and easy to everybody out there is this bad boy, which is TradingView, right? TradingView is a very simple, easy platform. You can get it for free, at least the version that I use. You can also pay, but there you go. So let me go in here and add in RSI. So we'll go up to the indicators. I will add on, and you can do this for any indicator. RSI, which is Relative Strength Index. So we've added RSI at the bottom, right? So there you can see RSI now on Facebook, sitting right in the middle of the range, which further validates the fact that it's just doing nothing and going sideways. If we double click on this, it brings up a box, and that gives you all the different configuration settings. You can right mouse click on it, and it says Add Alert. So you can just simply click Add Alert, and it will basically say, what do you want to do? Cross above a certain percentage, go above a certain value. So if you said in the question that you want to get it when it goes below 30, well, And then you type in here and you put 30. Right? So there you go. And you can have it send you an email. So right now it would send me an email. But when it crosses 30 on that RSI, let me make sure I'm going to set it up here because it can start alerting me. And it says only once per bar close, once per minute. And this would be annoying as heck. It just keeps on going over and over and over again. Okay, cool. Then you could create that one. Done. Now, you just said in there you use TradeStation. Well, let's check it out. Here's TradeStation, and I will go in and I will add in RSI. Unfortunately, TradeStation isn't as good here because it doesn't really give you the customization. It's going to give you an alert on these lines, right? The standard ones. But you don't really get to choose that. So how do we do it? We double click. It brings up a box, and you can see the box says alerts. You sit here and it says enable alert, and now it's going to alert you when it crosses above those lines, which will be, alert once, hit OK. At least one setting should be specified. I've already set it. Not sure why it's not doing that. Alert continuously. I have it as alert once. Oh, it's probably because my global messaging is not set up. Here we go. Let's just do audible. So it's gonna beep at me, right? But you can do visual. You can have it email you as well. And there we go. So that one's set up. Now, if you look at the inputs, right? These are the levels, and you can configure this in the alerts. The 3070. That will be your trigger points. But now I hit OK, and you'll notice over here on the left-hand side of the screen, it has a little blue A on mine right next to RSI. Is it cut off? No, it's on your screen. There's your, now I know that there's an alert on RSI. So for me on DD, it's going to now alert me if it drops below 30 or just crosses or touches the 30 or touches the 70. There you go. I'm not going to ask you what you're doing with Ethereum, buying back in, or I'm waiting. We looked at the price chart of Ethereum, and it's a bummer. I was really hoping it would have sold off more, but here's your Ethereum. This is Ethereum futures. Let's go to ETH/USD. I will be buying back in, Big Eb. There's no doubt about it. My goal is to continually I have a certain amount of capital that I sold of Bitcoin. So I sold I sold all my Ethereum, and now I'm looking to buy back in, and hopefully once it falls. Now you notice this is kind of a weird looking chart. It doesn't really look like this, unfortunately. So there's weird gaps in here. Let me go to World Coin Index because I think that's a better visual. Or actually, let's go here. So I'm going to put this on, let's say, an hourly chart, so you guys can see what happened. So over the weekend, it had a pretty nice little dip down. That was this drop here. This is Saturday when I sold out, and I think my line, this is it. 1728.11 is my average exit, and it was selling off. And when we got to 1480, I was thinking, all right, here we go. We're going to see a bigger drop, and then it just rallied back up. Unfortunately, what's going to happen here is either all the assets are going to rise or they're all going to sell off. So if the markets do start to sell off and Ethereum does get below 1728. At some point, I'll buy back in. I'm not exactly sure when. I told myself I have to wait a week. So that really means till Saturday. So I was really surprised to see the impact of the futures on Ethereum really have no impact whatsoever. None whatsoever. It was kind of strange to see that. But there you go. So I am going to get back in for sure. Let's see. Oops. 1 second. Let me go to your economic announcements. Bring some other stuff here. And there we go. All right, so there really wasn't much going on with regards to announcements. It was kind of a boring day. Here is what you have cooking for tomorrow's session. Really, 3 announcements from the U.S., which is University of Michigan consumer sentiment. You also have Fed monetary policy. But other than that, not too much. You have wholesale sales for Canada, but it's kind of a quiet, boring day. Earnings for tomorrow. That is, actually, this is earnings for today. Why is this not updated? I guess I just didn't update these charts for you. That's what I get for being a slacker. Earnings-wise for tomorrow, there really wasn't much. These ones came out with earnings today, though. You had Disney and ACB. Those are the two, and I'll take a quick look at those. We'll go to Disney, and you can see Disney. They had kind of mixed numbers. One side of the equation looked great, and then all of a sudden the other side of it looked poor with regards to consumer retention and what they're retaining as far as spending per consumer. Let's see. So there's your Disney posting well earnings after market. ACB, I was waiting. I didn't see them actually post. Yeah, still haven't really seen much from ACB, which is Aurora Cannabis, but there you go. That's your I'm over an hour, I know. Oh, all right. Well, it's because I have to make up for not being here tomorrow. That's it. And Monday. All right. Well, that's gonna do it for me. I'm done. I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend. Sorry I'm not gonna do a show tomorrow, but I'll be in the cold confines of the East Coast. I figured it was just too warm and sunny in Southern California, so I wanted to fly all the way across country to be freezing. No, I'm just kidding. No, I've been looking to have a great weekend. I hope you guys do as well. Again, thanks for joining us today. If you are new to the program, hit that subscribe button. If you like today's show with Don Fron, hit that thumbs up button. Always helps me. You can also go down below the YouTube videos, type in any comments and questions. The easiest way to get directly in touch with me is to send emails to that email on your screen, which is TraderMerlin@gmail.com, or go to DonFronShow.com if you want to know more about Don. All right, that's it for me, everybody. I will see you on Tuesday. I might, if I have some time, which I probably won't, make some videos on the airplane, or at least script them out, because I know there's a lot of stuff that people have been asking for, particularly with mining. I saw the comments here about crypto mining, so I will do probably a special show just on the mining aspects and energy consumption, but that will be for another day. All right, everybody, that's going to do it for me. Have a fantastic weekend. I'll see you on Tuesday.
Hello.
Hello. What's going on?